Hi there, welcome back to the Community of Readers video blog. We're following the Old Testament readings for the Monkey Bar Challenge, and this week we are in the middle of Isaiah, chapters 40 to 55. This is called The Dark Days Are Over. We said last week that Isaiah really is in three parts. Chapters 1 to 39 is the first part, credited to the man Isaiah, a prophet in the court of the king. But Isaiah 40 to 55 is written by, well, we don't know who it's written by, except that it's a community of prophets, writers, people who were in exile in Babylon, some 150 years after the man Isaiah. And these people were dreamers. Everything about Israel's life had crumbled. Her monarchy was gone. Babylon was now in charge. Her religious infrastructure, her national community worship, everything that we've been reading about since the start of the year had been dismantled. And her temple, the glorious space where heaven touched earth, had been burned to the ground. Jerusalem, the holy city, was a ruin. And in that dark place, that place of utter despair, utter ruin, bold dreamers imagined a new future. They imagined Israel restored. They spent some time licking their wounds, trying to work out what had happened, what had gone wrong that had led to exile. Yahweh surely had abandoned them. His judgment on them was surely clear. And yet, after time in exile, Jerusalem becomes the focus of a new dream. Yahweh wouldn't stay angry forever, just as the prophets had said. He would forgive, he would restore. And when the day of the Lord were to come to Israel, he would make Jerusalem great once again. And it's from this dream, this vision, that the concept, the idea of Zion springs. Zion is such a powerful idea for the Jews. And it comes most of all from the prophet Isaiah. Imagine that your nation had been totally destroyed, and all around, everywhere you turned, you could just see one empire after another being able to control not only their own destiny, but also the destiny of other smaller nations just like you were. Where would your imagination take you? The imagination of those people who were part of this Isaiah tradition took them to a place where Zion is not just Jerusalem rebuilt and restored. It's not just the temple remade, the walls set up once again. It's not just a holy city. It is an empire to challenge Babylon, an empire that would rule the world. Now, it's easy for us to miss this, because we know that actually what happened was Israel, once the Persians had come in, Israel were able to go back to resettle some of the land of Judea, but they never had self-rule. They rebuilt their temple, they rebuilt the walls, but they were never great, not in the least bit. They just carried on for centuries in perpetual insecurity. They were never a world power by any means. And yet, Isaiah prophesied that that would be so. And so when we go back to these middle chapters, we have to get ourselves into a space where we can dream with the dreamers. We can imagine with those who can see the possibility of change and see Israel great, Zion as an epicenter of an empire, where Yahweh would rule from his temple in Jerusalem on Mount Zion, and all the people of the world would come and bow. The people of Egypt, of Cush, of Tyre, of Philistia, of Syria, and of Babylon. All of them would come and worship Yahweh in his temple on Mount Zion. It's courageous. It's a courageous thing for these people that we understand, the nameless people we understand as Isaiah. It's a courageous thing for them to believe, but there is power, isn't there? There's power in hope. It sort of feels far-fetched. In some ways we could laugh at it. Such a ridiculous vision. But it is a vision that comes out of oppression. It's a vision that comes from a community that has lost everything. And they dare to dream something different. And it gives them hope. I sometimes wonder what would have happened to Israel if this dream hadn't existed. For all the problems, and there were problems, and there are still problems, that this vision of Zion has caused. I mean, huge issues in the Middle East right now because of this dream. But what would have happened if it hadn't been dreamt? What would have happened to the religion of Yahweh, to the people of Yahweh? What would have happened to world history if this dream had not been preserved? From a Christian perspective, we reimagine the holy city, the kingdom of God, not as physical, political entities, but as something more subtle, something that undercuts the powers of this world, that challenges those who aspire to empire. In many ways, Jesus' whole idea of the kingdom of God was to turn the vision of Zion, the kingdom of God, on its head and proclaim a different way to be the people of God in the world. But we can be inspired by the hope and the imagination and the guts of those people we call Isaiah. And we can be inspired by their vision. Isaiah dreamt of a new world order where swords would be beaten into plowshares, where war would transform into peace. That is a vision still worth dreaming.